Hello everyone. So today we're going to be doing double taps at 200 yards with the AR-47. Okay, so this is a mil-spec AR-15 lower with with a 7.62x39 AK-47 round upper. Okay, because it's a mil-spec lower, it takes standard AR-15 magazines. However, this is it's recommended that you get one that's specifically made to accept 7.62x39 because of this little curve here that basically accommodates the tapered round of the 7.62x39. Okay, so I did this about 2 weeks ago, and I think I had like a 25% success rate on the double taps. Now, the concept of this double tap at 200 yards is I wanna squeeze off the 2 rounds before the sound gets back to me, right? So basically I want to go click click and then hear ding ding. Okay, click click ding ding. So I want to get both rounds in the air before that sound has a chance to echo back. I mean, if I was shooting further than 200 yards, it would actually be a little bit easier because the sound takes longer to travel. So at 100 yards, this is extremely hard to do because that sound is echoing back very fast. So 200 yards is a good challenge distance, right? You do this with electronic earmuffs so you can hear that ding really good when you hit. So the last time I did this, the issue that I ran into, I didn't realize it at the time, what the cause may have been. I had a slightly lighter buffer weight in here. Okay, the reason why I had the lighter buffer weight is because at some point I had put on a shielded muzzle brake. So the shielded muzzle brake reduces the recoil. Now this is a gas operated system, right, where the gas comes back and cycles the bolt carrier, but there is a blowback component to it, right, where let's say you cut off the gas completely, right, and you remove the buffer weight in the spring, that bolt is still gonna move back because there's a blowback component to this. Okay, so when I put the muzzle brake, the shielded muzzle brake in there, with the 3-ounce buffer weight, I wasn't getting I wasn't getting reliable cycling. Okay, I don't know, out of every 20 rounds, maybe I would get 1 failure to cycle. So the reason was what I just explained, because the shielded muzzle brake reduced some of the recoil that was cycling the bolt. So I basically made a 2.4-ounce buffer weight, right? I just removed some of the I took a 3-ounce and removed some of the weights from the inside, and that was working really reliable. So that muzzle brake came off of my 16-inch AR-10, and I wanted to put it back on it. So I took off the shielded muzzle brake off of this, put the bird cage back on here, but I forgot to change the buffer weight. So the last time I did this exercise, I had a 2.6-ounce buffer weight, which is going to give you, slightly more felt recoil. So now I've put back the 3-ounce buffer weight. So I want to see that. So that's what I want to see today. I want to see how much that makes a difference. Okay. So let's do this. Okay, so it's 200 yards. 2 foot by 1 foot target. Wind's blowing slightly to the right. Shouldn't make a difference. But I'm gonna favor left a little bit. Not that time. That time I got it. That time I had a miss. That time I got it. That time I was just off. That time I got it. That time I had a miss. Okay, so with the slightly high, heavier buffer weight, which I think is standard, right? It's a 3-ounce buffer weight, which is what should be on here with flash hider. Keep in mind that if you put a muzzle brake on it, you may have to lighten up the buffer weight. So it seemed like it was a little bit easier. I think my success rate was still around that 25%. So there was no drastic improvement. There was a little bit of a, because here's the thing, I'm not looking for a perfect sight picture here, right? Because I'm trying to get those 2 shots. So take the first shot. As long as I'm someplace within the target, I take the second shot, okay? So using that method, it's a little bit instinctual, right? So you take first shot, boom, boom, right? So as long as it's within here. Now, a couple of times I just didn't take that second shot, and that's because I was like way off, way out here somewhere. So there was like no point in that. So as long as I'm anywhere within that target, I'm going to take that second shot. And it, like I said, I had about 25% success rate. So yeah, I wanted to test it out with the standard buffer weight in here. I forgot about it last time. It felt definitely. I'd say the biggest difference was in the felt recoil. I mean, it definitely feels a little bit lighter, but with the 7.62 by 3.9, yeah, it's still, it moves. It's not a 5.56. It's gonna move. It would probably be a little bit easier because this is a smooth table. If I was doing this prone, right, where I could basically like push, like load up on the bipod, like push into it a little bit, that would help with the stability. I can't do it prone here because I don't have the clearance. If I go prone, I can't see the target because the ground is kind of hilly, okay? So yeah, you're not going to always have the ability to shoot prone, and you're not always going to have that ability to load up on the bipod. As we get into the wintertime, what happens is the table tends to freeze up, and so wherever I put these things, they freeze, and then I can kind of like push into these a little bit so I can load up on the bipod that way, but we're not quite there yet. But that would definitely help with stability a lot, right? I suppose I could have found a rock or something to put it on the table. So anyway, real quick, let me talk to you guys a little bit about the AR-47 because one of the guys, my viewers was asking me about it. Give you a little bit more details. So it's a mil-spec AR-15 lower. Okay, takes like basically this section here is like mil-spec AR-15 magazine. But then it just has this curve here to accommodate the taper of the rounds. You can't stick a regular AR-15 magazine in here, and it'll work okay for the first like 4 or 5 rounds, and then the rounds start to like get all goofy on you, and they basically turn over. So you really want to use this with an AR-47 magazine. So mil-spec lower. It's got an AR-47 upper. They cost somewhere between $200 and $250. This makes a lot of sense if you have a stockpile of 7.62 by 3.9, okay? Because I used to be a pretty heavy AK-47 guy going back like 15 years ago, so I've got lots of AK ammo. This is a lot more accurate than my AK-47s, not because of the barrel, same ammunition, because the ability to mount optics on this in the way that I can't do on an AK-47. With AK-47, you do the side mount. If you push down on that side mount, you'll see that it moves. Okay, so that side mount not really stable. The whole receiver flexes when you shoot. And so what I got on that is I have the red dot mounted over the gas tube, but I can't match up a magnifier behind it and line it up. So again, so that's a limitation of the AK-47. I think the best I ever got with that was like 3 3/4 inches at 200 yards. Okay, with this same ammunition, I'll get 2 inches. I've hit 2 inches at 200 yards many times. Okay, this is a 1 MOA gun with like Red Army standard with Tula white box. Okay, so that AK ammo is accurate. Don't have stockpiles of AK-47 ammo. I don't think it really makes sense to get into this. You gotta check the prices, but I mean the great thing about AK ammo is that it was cheap. But what you can look into is 6.5 Grendel. Okay, here's the thing: if you're gonna pay like the same money for 7.62 by 3.9 and 6.5 Grendel, you might as well get a 6.5 Grendel, right? So again, same deal with that. You just get a 6.5 Grendel upper, and you get it'll work with a mil-spec lower, and you get a 6.5 Grendel magazine that will have a similar taper to this. The cheap, the standard 6.5 Grendel ammo is going to have about the same power, the same energy as your 7.62 2x39, okay? And it's going to have similar ballistics, okay? But with the 6.5 Grendel, if you get the expensive stuff, now you can really push that out to 1,000 yards, right? There's lots of people that shoot 6.5 Grendel to 1,000 yards, but just keep in mind, you got to get the good ammo for that, right? You got to get the hot stuff. But you know, you've got the ability to do it, right? So you have an option with the 6.5 Grendel where you can go cheap ammo for shooting inside of 300 yards, or you can get the expensive stuff and push out there towards 1,000 yards. So 6.5 Grendel is very comparable to this AR-47, and that's probably what I would advise unless you have a stockpile of 7.62 2x39 like I do. Okay, but yeah, fun exercise. Like I said, it's just another training exercise, try and get you better. Okay, so I've been kind of going back and forth between this and the 5.56, comparing the two. Different configurations, different barrel lengths. Yeah, it's it's a fun exercise. So try it out. Let me know how you guys like it. All right?